Jersey, as you can see on the picture to your right. The design flow of our treatment plant is 147 million gallons per day. We have 4 aerated grid chambers, 6 primary settling tanks, 4 oxygenation tanks, 16 final settling tanks, 8 gravity sludge thickening tanks, 6 sludge storage tanks, 10 belt filter presses, and 5 thin film dryers. The wastewater that comes into the plant is treated by physical and biological processes and is disinfected with sodium hypochlorite. Once it is disinfected, it is discharged to the Raritan Bay through outfall 001A, or if need be, it can be discharged to the Raritan River through outfall 007A. The MCUA currently has following NJDEP permits. We have a Title V air pollution permit, and what this public hearing is about today, and that permit number is 18093. In addition to that, we have a Title V air pollution permit for our cogeneration facility. The program interest number is 18348. We also have a New Jersey pollutant discharge elimination system, otherwise known as an EGIPTES discharge surface water permit, Category A, sanitary wastewater, and CSM, combined sewer management, permit number NJ00204141. We also have a EGIPTES residual permit, Category 5, land application biosolids Class A permit. That permit number is NJ00800713. We also have a basic stormwater general permit. Permit number for that is NJ G0125792. And lastly, we have a discharge prevention, containment, and countermeasures and discharge cleanup and removal plan. And the number for that is 12190061800. Now I will move the presentation over to Don Pinto, who is our air consultant for T&M Associates, to discuss our air permit.
Thank you, Michael. So this slide talks about the air permits for the facilities. The initial operating permit was approved on December 10th, 2004. After several cycles of the permit, each permit is good for 5 years. After several cycles, the current renewal application was submitted to NJDEP on November 2nd of 2018. The current operating permit expires on December 9th of 2019. However, because the permit application renewal was submitted in time to the DEP, the operations continue under the permit shield. So the facility is compliant, and until the permit is reviewed and approved by DEP, the facility continues in compliant operation. Upon approval, the permit renewal will be good for another 5 years. The next renewal will be 5 years from the date that the permit is approved. So this slide talks about the treatment processes at the central treatment plant. So you have the flow diagram on the left that shows you both the liquids and the solid treatments. So the CTP accepts wastewater and separates the water from the solids through settling. The solids are then dewatered and processed to leave the facility. Control equipment used include regenerative thermal oxidizers to control the emissions of volatile organic compounds. The facility also uses odor control systems, specifically scrubbers, to treat odors emitted into the air. These systems, both control systems, are regulated by the current air permit, which is under program interest number 18093. This slide demonstrates the permitted emissions from the facility. So the first row you have there lists the potential to emit or maximum emissions allowed under the current operating permit. So it specifies the emission limits for volatile organic compounds, VOCs, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, total suspended particulates, particulate matter less than 10 microns, particulate matter less than 2.5 microns, HAPs or hazardous air pollutants, and CO2e, which is carbon dioxide equivalents. So the first row in bold there is what the permit allows. The second row that says major facility emissions, these are the maximum emissions considered by both NJDEP and US EPA for a Title V facility. So you cannot exceed these numbers. If you do, you would be considered a major Title V source. The next three rows list the actual emissions from the central treatment plant for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And these numbers are all in tons per year. And what you can see is that the actual emissions from the facility are well below the permitted limits. So they're well below the permitted limits in the first row, which is in the actual permit, and they're significantly below what would be considered a Title V major source. In most cases, they are less than half or even lower than that. So in terms of what are the actual significant permitted emission units, this slide on the left lists the actual sources and the right, the location of these sources. So you have U2 and U3, which are natural gas-fired boilers. You have U6, which is 3 lime silos and the associated kiln dust silos with the baghouse for particulate matter control. U13, which is a residual storage tanks 1 through 6 with odor controls, specifically scrubbers. U14 is a system of sources, which is for sludge dewatering odor control. It includes 10 belt filter presses, 1 day tank, and 3 polymer silos, and the odor control is accomplished with scrubbers. U16 is a 5,200 gallon above ground storage tank for fuel. U17 is again a collection of sources, but it's land-based sludge management system, odor control system. So this includes scrubbers as well as 2 regenerative thermal oxidizers for the dryers in the source. U18 is an admixture silos 1 through 5 with a baghouse, which is very similar to U6, the lime silos. U23 is 5 natural gas-fired thermal fluid heaters with low NOx burners, low nitrogen oxide burners for control. And U25 and 26 are emergency generators. So the modifications to the existing permit that we're proposing for the renewal include the removal of the 1.98 million BTU per hour HP Smith boiler from the annex building. That boiler will be replaced by 3 permanent 1.5 million BTU per hour high efficiency boilers that will be installed this year during a capital improvement project to the annex building. This modification will not result in an increase of actual emissions above significant thresholds specified by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. As part of the renewal, we are also required to do a risk assessment to prove that the risk posed to human health and the environment is negligible. So in order to do that, we did a facility-wide risk assessment and prepared a report that was submitted to NJDEP in October 2019 as part of this renewal. The report presented the ambient or offsite maximum concentrations of air toxics and hazardous air pollutants emitted by the facility at or beyond the facility's fence line and to sensitive receptors such as hospitals and schools. The ambient impacts of the air toxics and hazardous air pollutants were predicted using NJDEP screening worksheets and an atmospheric dispersion model, specifically AirMod, in accordance with NJDEP's modeling guidelines. The predicted ambient impacts from the model showed that the risks to human health are negligible. They're well below NJDEP's risk assessment requirements, which are less than 1 in a million for carcinogens and less than a hazard quotient of 1 for non-carcinogens. So in conclusion, this public hearing provided a summary of operations under the existing Title V operating permit, which is up for renewal. There are minimum changes to the existing permit conditions and emission limits. Upon approval, the Title V operating permit will be active for 5 years. And with that, I will turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you, Don. Thank you all for attending today. I want to remind everyone that please send their comments by July 22nd, 2023 to the following. You may mail written comments to the Middlesex County Utilities Authority to the attention of Joseph Cryan, the Executive Director, P.O. Box 159, 2571 Main Street Extension in Sayreville, New Jersey with a zip code of 088 72 to the public hearing June 2023 at mcua.com. And a recording of this meeting will be provided to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So this will conclude our hearing today. Thank you.
So we'll now open the hearing for any comments that we have.
If you have any comments, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Charlie Cradaville. I'm the Central Jersey organizer for Food and Water Watch, and I wanted to ask about the process. Obviously, the application filed in 2018, the existing permit expiring in 2019. I wanted to confirm, if approved, that the renewal would only last until next year, 2024, and also wanted to ask if anyone could, enlighten me as to what took so long with the review of the permit application and why it, why the permit shield was in effect for so long, and why we are only now here at this stage today. And that's all I wanted to know for now.
Hi, Charlie. This is Mike Donino. The reason that we're operating under these existing shield is because we've been waiting for the DEP to review our permit. That's pretty much the short answer.
And that's good too.
And once the permit is renewed, it will be good for a 5-year cycle. So after we have a public hearing, and we've gone through this process, the DEP will then draft our permit for public comment period, and then it will be renewed. And whatever that effective date is, it will be from the effective date in 5 years. So it could be sometime in 2028 or 2029 that the permit will be in effect too.
Got it. Thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Are there questions from anyone else? Please unmute yourself and ask anything you like relevant to the subject. Michael, do we have anyone else on? So why don't we put a couple minutes and ask? So let me just go ahead and ask again that if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and we would be happy to address them.